know what the future holds, you know?
Sean Diddy Combs admitting he wanted to die in the wake of the federal investigation into his alleged racketeering and crimes.
I'll put it in God's hands.
Federal prosecutors said in a new memo Combs should be in prison for at least 11 years, which is far more than what his defense attorneys are asking for.
Diddy on watch? That's right. This as he demands an emergency hearing to walk free.
He thought he'd beaten the system again. Split verdict, serious charges, dropped back to his cell. Calculating how to spin this into a comeback story, Sean Combs was already planning his redemption arc, the interviews, the documentary, maybe even a gospel album. But then Cassie's letter hit that courtroom like a newt. Every manipulation tactic he perfected over decades suddenly backfired spectacularly. The self-harm watch charade, the fake apologies, the desperate legal motions, everything became evidence of his guilt rather than his innocence. Tonight we witness a master manipulator finally meeting his match. Genuine consequences. You have to understand, Sean Combs walked into that federal courtroom absolutely convinced he was about to become a free man after 8 weeks of testimony. After watching his legal team systematically dismantle the prosecution's case, he was already planning his victory lap. The RICO charges defeated the major ST allegations, crushed in his mind. He just pulled off the greatest legal escape in entertainment history.
On count one, the racketeering conspiracy charge, Sean Combs has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, perhaps the most complicated charge for the jury to understand. The count one had provided for a number of predicate acts, but the jury does not have to get into that because they have found Sean Combs not guilty of leading a criminal enterprise, not guilty of racketeering conspiracy. They will now move to the other 4 counts, 2 of them on and on and we have not guilty now on count 2, which was trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Sean Combs has been found not guilty of trafficking when it comes to his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. There was a real debate that the jury heard over the course of the last 2 months about consent and coercion and the complications of deciding when an 11-year relationship between Combs and Cassie Ventura may have become a criminal one. And the jury decided it was not criminal trafficking when Sean Combs committed what his attorneys freely admitted was domestic, as you saw in that video. He has been found not guilty now on racketeering conspiracy, not guilty on trafficking of Cassie Ventura. He has been found guilty on count 3, transportation for the purposes of. He has also been found guilty on count 5, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. These charges carry a maximum penalty of up to 10 years in prison, so we do have a split verdict. Sean Combs has been found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, not guilty of trafficking Cassandra Ventura, but he has been found guilty on 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. And we're waiting for 1 more count, the trafficking of Jane, and just now the jury has decided that Sean Combs is not guilty of trafficking his former girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym Jane. So the jury has now believed that the relationships that Sean Combs had with his former girlfriends Cassie Ventura and a woman who testified under the pseudonym Jane were not criminal.
What you just witnessed was 3 decades of untouchability evaporating in 30 seconds. Not the dramatic collapse anyone expected. No RICO kingpin conviction, no Saint Mastermind verdict. Instead, something far more devastating. The ultimate power player brought down by mundane technicalities, 2-man ACT violations. Transportation for P, the kind of charges that destroy entertainment moguls worth nearly $1 billion. He survived nightclub shootings, witness testimonies, and federal investigations by always staying 1 step ahead of the law. His empire wasn't just built on muse. It was built on the mythology that Sean Combs was too smart to get caught. This federal conviction just shattered that mythology forever. Now, here's where Sean Combs reveals the full scope of his delusion. Most people facing federal conviction would experience soul-crushing humility. They'd recognize the gravity of their situation, maybe find genuine remorse, possibly seek authentic redemption. Sean Combs chose whining instead.
where in the matter of USA vs. Combs, Sean Combs has officially spoken. He's put out a mass statement here where we have like 6-7 paragraphs, so we have to go through everything. Diddy's words, officially for the first time, breaking his silence. Every day since my incarceration, as difficult as my circumstances currently are, I have made the best of my time by reading books, writing, working out or in therapy, obtaining the tools and knowledge to deal with my past drug and anger issues. I have been putting in the work and working diligently to become the best version of myself to ensure that I never make the same mistakes again. I realize that I'm in a situation where no amount of money, power or fame can save me. Only God can save me. My grandmother used to teach me that God makes no mistakes and that everything he does is for your good. I believe that a bad situation can be used for good. Although this situation has been the hardest and darkest in my life, good things have come out of my incarceration. For starters, I am now sober for the first time in 25 years.
Masterful manipulation, theater. He's not accepting responsibility. He's rebranding catastrophe as spiritual awakening. This isn't remorse, it's strategic repositioning. For the sympathy Olympics, but watch what happens when he thinks he's found his winning formula and deserve.
God bless me with the greatest mother in the world. My mother sacrificed her life and dreams to provide for me and my younger sister Keisha. She worked 3 jobs to make sure we had a roof over our heads, clothes on our backs and the best education. My mother is now 84 and she recently had brain surgery. Despite her own health challenges, she attended my trial every day. I've always been a primary caregiver. It breaks my heart that I put myself in this situation, and for the first time I am unable to be there for my mother when she needs me most. As I write you this letter, I am scared to death. Scared to spend another second away from my mother and my children. I no longer care about the money or the fame. There is nothing more important to me than my family. So all the reports of us talking about how he was scared in prison and going through everything has basically just been verified. I understand that one factor the court has to consider is deterrence. Deterrence for me and for others to ensure that no one follows in my footsteps and makes that mistake.
The mask completely slips. Decades of systematic mistreatment become mistakes. Cassie's documented hell becomes a learning experience. Federal convictions become divine blessings in disguise. This is textbook narcissistic rewriting the psychological phenomenon where malignant personalities literally cannot process that they're the villain in anyone's story. In his warped reality, he's the misunderstood hero, finally getting his redemption arc. But here's the fatal miscalculation. Modern audiences aren't 1990s jury pools. Social media doesn't forget, digital receipts don't disappear. Every word of this performance is being archived. Act analyzed and weaponized by prosecutors building their sentencing argument. Because we saw this act before, let me remind you. So difficult to reflect.
Difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy. I'm going to rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Sean Combs thinks he's controlling the narrative. He doesn't realize he's creating evidence of pathological lack of remorse that will be quoted verbatim in Cassie's victim impact statement. Every claim of transformation will be systematically destroyed by continued manipulation. Diddy is dancing exactly how federal prosecutors need him to dance to justify maximum sentencing. He's writing his own sentence and calling it resurrection. But hold up. Sean Combs' strategic victimization campaign hit his first reality checkpoint. The moment those federal prison doors slammed shut behind him. No more private chefs. No more yes man. No more carefully curated environment where his every whim becomes someone else's emergency if he wants out.
He wants out. That's why he's sad. He wants out. So does every other cellmate, every other inmate on the block. They all want out. Why do they want out? They're in jail. Why are they in jail? Because of something they did and for which they are convicted. I guess he does want out. What about it, Rob Shooter? Is he missing that private chef? Is he missing the minions that go out at 3 a.m. and find him freshly made cheesecake?
This isn't just culture shock. This is existential horror for someone whose entire identity was built on absolute control. The man who once snapped his fingers and made $100 million deals happen is now begging guards for basic human dignity. But federal prison doesn't care about your net worth, your industry connections, or your cultural impact. He is just another number now, and that emasculation is driving him to increasingly desperate measures that will ultimately seal his fate. Enter Judge Aaron Subramanian, not because he's particularly harsh, but because he represents something. Sean Combs has never encountered genuine authority that can't be bought, threatened, or charmed. Demand in his best life.
The man's living his best life. Uncle, the motion has been denied. Relax. Do you understand? Relax. Wait for your sentencing and relax. The motion for acquittal, the motion for new trial has been denied. The judge is whacking you in this litigation. I know Diddy is crying in that jail cell, pissed over the fact that Judge Arun is denying everything. I know that he's pissed, guys. Talking about denial.
Every single motion denied for 30 years. He's navigated crises by finding the right person, making the right offer, or applying the right pressure. Judges, prosecutors, witnesses, everyone had a price or a pressure point. Judge Subramanian is systematically destroying that worldview. No celebrity deference, no special treatment, no backdoor negotiations, just cold, impartial application of federal law. Judge Subramanian's systematic rejections have created a ripple effect of desperation that extends far beyond Sean Combs' jail cell. His million-dollar legal dream team, the same attorneys who've built careers on getting the impossible done, are now reduced to legal Hail Marys and procedural gymnast.
Judge interrupted and said, what the hell does that have to do with conduct? They're clutching at straws. They're desperate. They don't know what to do when it comes to their client. They got the RICO off on chance, and when it comes to the sentencing, they're panicking. Prosecution won 11 years, and now I think that Judge Arun might give a stronger, harsher sentence, leaning towards that side based on the fact that he's denied this. This man has denied 3 bails for Diddy, and on top of that, he's denied an acquittal, and on top of that, he's denied a new motion for a trial.
These aren't confident legal maneuvers from seasoned professionals. This is panic masquerading as strategy. When elite defense attorneys start throwing everything against the wall, it means their client is having a complete meltdown behind bars and demanding impossible miracles. This is what legal desperation looks like. The lawyers know the motions will fail, but they file them anyway because Sean Combs cannot accept that no one is coming to save him. Then came the moment that changed everything while Sean Combs was orchestrating his pity party from prison, writing manipulation manifestos about his spiritual awakening and directing his legal team to file increasingly desperate motions. Cassie Ventura was quietly crafting the most devastating weapon in this entire legal calamity.
Both sides have put forth letters from people in Diddy's past who either want him to serve some hard time or want him freed. But only one of those people was Diddy's girlfriend for more than a decade. And it was her lawsuit that opened the floodgates of the charges and all the allegations. And who was seen on hotel surveillance video being smashed to by an out-of-control superstar. That would be Sean Combs in that chalk drawing there. Cassie Ventura was the star prosecution witness at Sean Combs' trial and wrote this to the judge, and I quote, "For 4 days in May, while 9 months pregnant with my son, I testified in front of a packed courtroom about the most traumatic and horrifying chapter in my life. I testified that from the age of 19, Sean Combs used violence, threats, substances, and control over my career to trap me in over a decade of He groomed me into performing repeated acts with hired male during multi-day freak-offs, which occurred nearly weekly. I was forced into lingerie and heels and told exactly how to look and plied with drugs and alcohol so he could control me like a puppet. These events were degrading and disgusting, leaving me with infections, illnesses, and days of physical and emotional exhaustion before he demanded it all over again. Acts became my full-time job, used as the only way to stay in his graces, his good graces." Cassie Ventura says that she has spent the past 7 years rebuilding her life, engaging in, quote, dozens of types of therapy, but still says she has, quote, nightmares and flashbacks on a regular basis. She says that she moved her entire family out of New York for fear that Sean Combs may have some retribution in mind. She told the judge that she hopes he pays for what he did, whether the jury believed her or not. And here's where she writes that. She says, "It was only after actual video footage corroborated the exact words in my civil complaint that he issued an insincere apology on the internet. Thanks to the footage and my testimony, this is also something he will forever be associated with. For over a decade, Sean Combs made me feel powerless and unimportant, but my experience was real, horrific, and deserves to be considered. While the jury did not seem to understand or believe that I engaged in freak-offs because of the force and coercion the defendant used against me, I know that is the truth, and his sentence should reflect the reality of the evidence and my lived experience as a victim."
What you just heard wasn't just a victim impact statement. It was a surgical dismantling of every manipulation tactic Sean Combs has deployed since his conviction. Line by line, lie by lie, excuse by excuse, Cassie systematically destroyed his carefully constructed redemption narrative. She doesn't just ask for maximum sentencing. She proves why anything less would be a betrayal of justice itself. Cassie reveals she still fears for her life. She's relocated her entire family because of what he might do for revenge. Think about that level of terror. This isn't paranoia. This is a traumatized victim who knows exactly what Sean Combs is capable of when he feels betrayed or cornered, and she's publicly defying that terror to make sure he never hurts anyone again. Sean Combs thought he was managing his image for public sympathy. Every fake apology, every strategic victimization, every manipulation attempt just became Exhibit A in Cassie's systematic proof that he hasn't changed at all. But Sean Combs' desperate manipulation campaign hit its final wall when the court of public opinion and professional experts started dissecting his performance in real time.
Don't buy any of this, and I'm so sorry. No matter how sweet these words are and whatever he's going through at the MDC, it is nothing in comparison to those victim impact statements that have been submitted, or Cassie crying at the trial, all of these civil lawsuits from these male escorts. Like, so many people have been harmed by this man, allegedly and not allegedly. It's just absolutely profound and insane that this man wants to come talking about God has put me here, God has put me here to do all of this, this is the reason why I am here. It's just so devoid and so ignorant, because you've harmed people, multiple people. It's one story if you went through addictive issues and you didn't harm anyone, and then you want to talk about God putting you here to help other people and you know, creating a rehab facility. That's different. But you've harmed people, multiple, and then you want to talk about God has put you here to do what? I don't understand. This is the first time that Diddy has spoken, and to be honest with you, the statement is a 4 out of 10. It's weak. Don't nobody want to hear about your MDC conditions, because we've been heard that through your lawyers and through articles and reports and the maggot infested food and all of that. We've been heard all of that.
The verdict is unanimous. Weak, even casual observers can smell the desperation from miles away. His suffering pales in comparison to what his victims endured for decades.
Did you not see the bruises on those women? Did you not hear the testimony about how one had been with all these and went in the shower and vomited? And he goes, put on some makeup, ho, and get back out there. Really? That's extraordinary? The whole thing about watch. Do you really think that Sean Combs would kill himself? Because Sean Combs loves Sean Combs more than anybody else in the world.